The sound of rain used to be comforting. Now, it's a warning. I never step outside during a storm, but after what happened in those woods, after what I saw buried beneath the earth, it looked like a tree root at first, but then I saw the fingernails, the pale, lifeless hand reaching up from the ground, frozen in a desperate grasp. And that was only the beginning, because when the rain came pouring down, the hand started moving. It's raining again. To be honest, rain terrifies me. I never step outside when a storm is raging, but I wasn't always like this. I used to love watching raindrops race down the window pane, used to find comfort in the soft patter against the glass. Now, my curtains stay drawn, blocking out the sight entirely. I wish I could show you why I've changed, partly to warn you, partly to prove I'm not crazy, but all I can do is tell my story. You can choose to believe it or not, but I will never forget. In 2012, I was a 21-year-old college student, completely obsessed with nature. I spent my childhood wandering forests, imagining mythical creatures lurking among the trees. As an adult, I pursued forestry, eager to protect the landscapes I cherished. So when my professor offered extra credit for a hiking trip, I jumped at the chance. Lily, my quiet yet adventurous friend, agreed to join me. We packed supplies, loaded up my car, and set out for a secluded trail known for its untouched beauty. By mid-afternoon, we arrived, greeted by a friendly park ranger who took our names and handed us a contact card in case of emergency. With that, we ventured into the woods, excitement bubbling between us. First day was peaceful. The sun dipped behind the trees as we set up camp in a small clearing. As we ate by the fire, I noticed movement behind Lily, a small, shadowy shape slipping into the earth. I squinted, but it was gone. Probably just a rabbit, I told myself. Lily didn't seem worried, so I brushed it off. That night, she mentioned hearing something slithering against her tent. Probably a thick snake, she said. I laughed it off, but an uneasy feeling settled in my chest. Next day, the sky darkened unexpectedly. Thunder cracked, and rain began to fall. We ran, searching for shelter, when I tripped. My foot caught on something beneath the mud. A root? No. It moved. A shiver crawled up my spine as I realized it wasn't a root. It was something alive. Shaking off my fear, I sprinted after Lily, bursting into an old cabin just as the downpour became relentless. As I wiped mud from my skin, I glanced out the window at the raging storm. That was when I saw them, shapes moving beneath the earth, watching, waiting. I never should have gone into those woods. I let my eyes trail over the forested wetland, back toward the path we had taken to get up here. My body locked up when I saw something right where I had tripped earlier. It was protruding from the ground like a small, unnatural pillar. I rubbed at the fogged-up window, trying to clear the condensation and the obstructing rain, but visibility was poor. Through the downpour, I could just barely make out what looked like a thick, partially submerged branch, broken at one end, small twigs splintering skyward. Something about it felt off. "Hey, come and look at this," I called out to Lily, who was still rummaging through her bags. "Is it the snake?" she asked, rising to her feet and stepping over to join me at the window. "I don't think so. It looks weird." We both stared at the object, watching as the rain relentlessly hammered it. More and more of the thick, caked-on mud washed away, revealing something unsettling beneath. "Wait," Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. "Look at the color." I narrowed my eyes, squinting past the water-streaked glass. As the mud continued to slide away, my breath caught in my throat. It wasn't wood. It wasn't a branch. It was grey, pale grey. Lily gasped, stepping back and covering her mouth with her hands. "What? What is it?" I asked, my stomach twisting at her reaction. "Look at the end of it," she whispered, barely able to get the words out. I turned back toward the window, forcing myself to focus. My pulse pounded in my ears. The shape became clearer. Fingernails. My heart dropped into my stomach. Oh my God, It wasn't a root. It wasn't a branch. It was an arm. A human arm. Reaching up from beneath the earth, frozen in a desperate grasp toward the sky. Lily wasted no time. "We have to call the rangers. Where's their card?" I fumbled in my pocket and handed it to her, my hand shaking. Without hesitation, she dialed the number and pressed the phone to her ear, pacing the cabin floor. I couldn't take my eyes off the arm. It remained perfectly still, unmoving, even as the rain crashed down upon it. It almost looked like it had been there for years, petrified in place. Lily stammered into the phone. "Hello. I'd like to report something on one of the trails. She turned toward me. "Max, go check the cabin number so they know where we are." I swallowed hard, forcing myself to move. The oppressive weight of the atmosphere in the cabin made my every step feel heavy. I pulled the door open and stepped into the rain. I hesitated, eyes locking onto the arm, now clearer than ever. The skin was smooth, hairless, eerily pristine despite being half buried. Fingernails were perfectly clean, unnaturally so. The rain didn't pool on the surface of the skin. It seemed to absorb instantly, vanishing into the grey flesh like water into a sponge. A shudder ran down my spine. I tore my gaze away and glanced at the cabin wall. 17, I called out, committing it to memory. Just as I turned back, a loud clap of thunder shook the ground beneath me, and the arm was gone. Only the churning mud remained, washing down the trail like it had never been there. My stomach twisted in knots. I stumbled back inside. The number's 17, but the arm, it's gone. It fell back into the mud. Lily's eyes widened in horror. She quickly relayed the information to the ranger on the other end of the line before hanging up. They said to stay put. The storm isn't going to pass anytime soon, but they're sending someone out here. It could take a while, though. I nodded slowly, staring out at the empty trail where the hand had been. I just hope they can find it before the rain washes it away completely. Lily joined me at the window, her voice quieter than before. "I'm sure they will. And hey, on the bright side, the rain cleaned you up a bit." I glanced down at myself. My clothes were still covered in mud, but my skin was mostly clean. Guess that's a plus. We tried to settle in, forcing down some food, but neither of us had much of an appetite. The plan was simple. Once the ranger arrived, we were done. This trip was over. We'd seen enough. Lily kept glancing at the window. "I feel weird, like we're being watched." "It's just the storm," I reassured her. But deep down, I felt it too. She took the pillowcases off our bedding and draped them over the windows. "I just don't want anything looking in." I didn't argue. Hours passed. I was just drifting into uneasy sleep when Lily's voice cut through the silence. Max, wake up." "Do you hear that?" I sat up, instantly alert. The door handle was moving. Someone was trying to get inside. Lily clutched my arm. "What do we do?" A loud knock rattled the cabin walls. I swallowed hard and forced myself to my feet. Maybe it's the ranger. Another knock, harder this time. I stepped toward the door. "Who's out there?" Silence. Then, bang, the door frame shook. The pillowcase over the window fluttered, slipping down just enough to expose the darkness outside. A pale, wet hand slammed against the glass. I stumbled back, my heart hammering in my chest. Lily whispered, voice trembling. That was the hand. The one from before. Hand dragged slowly down the glass, leaving streaks of water and mud behind. I wrapped my arms around Lily, both of us frozen in terror, as the slapping against the window grew louder. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. A light shone outside. A voice called out, "Lily, Max, you in there?" It was the ranger. Or at least, it was supposed to be. I was so thirsty, but now I'm so very hungry. Submerged head spoke without blinking. Its dead eyes locked onto mine. Without warning, the ranger's body was wrenched beneath the earth, swallowed whole by the mud. The ground where he had stood bubbled and shifted, like something beneath was alive, restless, and still. The creature's eyes never left me. I let out a strangled cry as the head began gliding effortlessly through the dirt toward the cabin, its movement unnatural. Fingers and arms sprouted from the ground around it, like shark fins slicing through water. My instincts finally kicked in. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and stumbled back to Lily. She had seen everything. "What is that?" she whispered, trembling. "I don't know." Then the scratching began. Hundreds of fingers clawing at the floorboards, relentless, desperate. The wooden planks swelled and cracked, thin lines of mud bleeding through the seams. The entire foundation shook. We were trapped inside a wooden coffin about to be buried alive. I froze, waiting for the inevitable. But Lily had other plans. She grabbed my hand, yanking me to my feet. Without hesitation, she bolted for the door, dragging me behind her. We burst outside and ran straight for the ranger's vehicle. By some miracle, he had left it running before the earth devoured him. We jumped in, slammed the doors, and took off down the trail. I glanced back just once. Cabin was gone, sinking into the earth like it had never been there. And on the path, mere yards away, that unblinking head remained, watching, waiting. To this day, every time it rains, I wonder if somewhere deep in the woods, those lifeless eyes are still searching, and a million hands lie just beneath the surface, waiting to pull someone else down into the dark. If you ever find yourself deep in the woods during a storm, be careful where you step. You never know what might be buried just beneath the surface, waiting to pull you under. What would you have done if you saw that hand reaching out from the mud? Would you investigate or run for your life? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a tale from Creepy Hive.